Hey everybody, welcome back. It's a great Wednesday, and I'm really excited to introduce my friend Theresa Ivancik. Theresa, welcome.
Thank you
And
so much for having me.
hey, thank you for being here. Hey, always wanted to ask you also, what nationality is Ivancik? It's a cool name.
German Russian.
German Russian. Wow.
Yeah.
So you how far back can you trace your lineage?
I have some, I actually just talked about this morning. There are some relatives that still live in Germany. But I don't know much more than that. I know that's where some of them ended up being from. And then with divorce and stuff, they kind of split. But I don't know anything else other than that. I think it'd be very interesting to do the family tree, but I haven't done that yet.
Well, the one thing that we do know is that Theresa, you're one of the most exciting and well-known female bodybuilders, or arguably bodybuilders too, if you just want to put it that way, active today.
Thank
And
you.
you progressed from a recovery from an eating disorder in 2021, and you've grown in success and celebrity to the point where your total list of achievements. I mean, I'm going to put this on here. I want everybody to see this, folks. This is like how this is a crazy
The
number.
book.
It is a crazy number of accomplishments, and she has done a wonderful job of listing them. So I picked them off from your website, and then let's just scroll down real quick here, folks, and start from and literally start from the bottom and work our way up quickly, out of respect for my friend's time. But look how many pages this covers. She started 2004 Miller Lite promotional girl. Then your first contest, I believe, was NPC Pennsylvania
Hmm.
in figure, and then you
Hmm.
did figure until 2008. And
Hmm.
you got first place though. You won the NPC. Your first contest, you won,
Yeah.
which
There was
really.
very limited limited people at those ones.
But hey, you know,
Yes. On paper, I won.
yeah,
Doesn't matter.
on paper, on internet, it happened, right? So you
Yes, it did.
then you went from figure to heavyweight from 2008 2010. Can you talk about that jump real quick? That's enormous. What?
Yeah, that was well, the eating disorder was still kind of continuing in the figure, range. I was lying about what I was doing. I was running and things like that because my fiance at the time, like he was my trainer. Like we technically weren't together, but I was lying to him. And we just kind of like trucked along. And then I'm like, the figure started becoming very saturated. And it was at an amateur, there was actually 25 to 30 people in the classes, which sometimes you don't see anymore. But I decided that I wanted to do bodybuilding because we didn't have any other division. It was either you're big or you're small.
Right. It was
So it was,
between.
yeah,
Right.
that was it. So we went from 120 to like 180, but we did take like 2008. I competed early May, and then I didn't come back to stage until like 2010. And was it my best? No, but I did bring my grandfather on stage with me at 83 for his first show.
Oh,
So
how is
we
that for
shared
you?
that stage. Yeah, that was it was very, very cool.
So you went from that. As I'm talking, I'm putting this on social media more. There we
Hmm.
go. But you went from that to, as we look through this voluminous, history of yours, that and that's a great ladder for anybody to watch. You went from there to you won the 2011 NPC Bill Grant Classic as a heavyweight, first place. You were working your way up. You went from third place to NPC Pittsburgh's. Then you went from there to in 2014 when I really got to know you. Actually, around there, you were the featured female bodybuilder role, Mike's Hard Apple Ale commercial, to
Hmm.
which I was really proud of because it was a major achievement for a female bodybuilder to be featured,
Correct.
without limitation, mainstream, you
Hmm.
know, absolutely. And so then went from there, uh, impressively, to went to doing DVDs, Perfect Posing, Pittsburgh Heavyweight, Great Lakes. You're a guest poser. And
Hmm.
was that your first guest posing?
That
Apparently,
one was, yes. Yep.
yeah. So everyone saw you on the commercial. They said we got to have her, and that's when she started.
Yep.
That's basically that's how it happens. And then you started traveling, North American Physique, Miami Nationals, Miami.
Hmm.
I love South Beach, North American Physiques, and then you work your way up to where you're doing more guest posing. You did a film pilot for Buff Dynasty, a reality TV show with, of all people, Linda Murray. And whatever happened with that?
It's still on YouTube. So believe it's Under the Wings of Strength, and they have a certain folder for that. There is a bunch of episodes. When we did the pitch reel in the mansion there was 10 of us girls in a house, and we didn't even know that it was a reality show, but until we got there. And then we started doing all this filming. Yeah. And what was crazy about that is I just turned pro, and I get the invite to do this. And I told my fiance, I'm like, I'm not good enough to go. I mean, because it was like Linda, it was Alina, it was Hella. I mean, it was all the big girls that I looked up to, you know. And I'm like, I am so shy. I'm like, I'm not going. And he's like, you're going. So we went, did the reel, and then I was 2 weeks out from my pro debut, and they called me back to Arizona to film the first episode with Linda Murray. So that was on there. Yeah. So I mean, but the episodes are still live on YouTube.
Wow. And so we've got that, and then as we go back to our the cool list that you made here, and I have up for reference, you won Rising Phoenix Best Poser in 2019. You were sponsored Wings of Strength Athlete. I remember that in the same year. Prior to that, you're a model for Wings. You were doing a lot more modeling, and which I think is a signal and a bellwether of how mainstream women's bodybuilding, women with muscle, have become, you know, happily. And went to your IFBB Pro, your Miss Olympia debut. You were 14th place. And folks, here's where things get really exciting, more exciting. You went from that. I'm going to jump up to to last year. You were 7th. And the women you were behind, I mean, let's face it, Andrea Shaw is absolutely amazing. As are the other ones. But to me, that you could not have placed higher was only a but for. In other words, but for a judge, because the one thing that's always rankled me, Theresa, about women's bodybuilding judges is, first, they always picked you if you're a little too skinny and less muscle, right?
Yep.
Now you seem to have gotten over that. But it's hard to tell who you're going to get on any particular day in terms of the judges. And they're all kind of fantastic people. You might draw somebody like Dave Palumbo, who I'm a big admirer of. He's also a massively cool guy, you know.
Yeah.
But this is the next step. This is coming up in 2023, and I'm going to take this out on my question line because it's what everybody is thinking about. How's your preparation? What's a day like for you? So I'm sort of molding in the questions I'm going to ask in terms of prepping for that, right? Because I really hope and pray that this is the time that it's yours, because you've worked long and hard for it, and that's not intended to take away anything from anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your thoughts?
So like for me, it's like, you know, we won the last 3 pro shows, you know, and then this last one at Toronto, we made a big oopsie, again, for the 100th time. I know what I did. I know it shouldn't have been done. I caught it, but I listened to protocol, you know, and he's aware, I'm aware, we're not going to do it again. I did talk to get some feedback, and they kind of said the same thing. So it was basically, again, a lot of people don't like me talking about it, but it was a diuretic, and my body does not do well with them. It's devastating because it should have never happened, and I should have never lost, but we can't always win. So maybe this lit my fire a little bit more, you know? So coming out, I mean, I literally have to eat my way back out of a show, because when you take those, it depletes you. So I was eating a bunch of food. I couldn't get my mindset. There's 3 more shows technically. I think Atlanta's might be this weekend. So there's 2 more that I could jump in, and I might end up just waiting it out and doing a show this year to qualify, or I'm going to take the rest of the year off. I'm going to kind of base it off of my next couple weeks of check-ins, and then take the year off and then come back. But as we kind of were talking about a little bit earlier, I had a blueprint for myself, that I was going to retire when I was going to be 40, and I'll be 40 in September. So the original plan, yeah.
25, you know.
Yeah. So it's been a long journey. It's been 17 years, 31 shows. And it's just been like, I wanted to win, Toronto, and I wanted to go to the Olympia for my third time, and I wanted to move myself up in the ranks. Like that was the blueprint that I had. So depending on how it goes, if I choose to do, I think it's Chicago or Tampa, we know that we have to win those in order to make it to the Olympia for this year. Is that definitely top on the roster? Absolutely. But I'm going to see what my body, which I was big about with the balance and making sure that you're healthy first, wants to continue, because you can't fight the mind and the body. They have to be on the same playing field.
And on that note, you look fantastic. Hey, show them your guns.
Thank you.
Wow, she's ready. She's absolutely ready. What's a morning routine like for you, for women who are watching? How do you start off your day?
So I'm usually up like between like 5:30 and 6. Have to let the dog out, feed her, and then I go downstairs and I stretch for first because otherwise I'm not going to move. Sometimes I'll throw in a little bit of a posing, and then I'll do my cardio, and then sometimes abs, and then I'll come upstairs and I'll get my food ready, and then I start working on the books for the gym. I check and see if anybody bought memberships, anything needs plugged in, pay the bills, balance books, all that kind of stuff, and then by then I'm in for my second meal, and then I'll eat that. I'll go to the gym, I'll train, and then I'll eat my post-workout meal. And since I'm taking a lot of the time off in between, I would be helping out at the gym, helping running the desk because the PT's just been way too busy for those guys to do it. Or I would be coming home to do more stretching, get massaged, practice my posing, or put my routine together. And then it's pack your stuff for the next day again. So it's a vicious cycle. You got the dishes, you got your clothes, and it's just a vicious cycle every single day. It's kind of Groundhog Day-ish.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what you need to do. The body likes consistency. So that's my wonderful fun life.
What do you eat? You say
A little bit of everything, right now, like a balance, between, chicken, fish, steak, vegetables, and then like rice, oatmeal, cream of rice, so there's a little bit of a balance of things like that around there. Now I am doing a little bit of a carb cycle right now. So I'll do a couple low days and then I'll do a high day. And then I'm sure that it's going to stop here soon.
So for those of us who need to get up to speed, what is a carb cycle? How does that work?
So it's kind of like shocking the body, but it's like giving it like a refeed in a way. So you're giving your body like a lot more nutrients in one day, and they don't necessarily like today's my rest day, and that's how my high carb day fell. So today's a high carb day, but it's actually going to fuel me for tomorrow's quad workout. So it doesn't matter whether you're on a rest day or not when you're doing it. You just cycle. You could do 3 low days and a high day. You could do 2 and a high. That's kind of what I'm doing now. And then if you need to tighten it up a little bit more and start to eliminate the carbs, you could go into a moderate day. So, I mean, you could even throw a moderate day in there if you wanted to. So each day you could have a kind of a different program. And this helps people that, get bored on a diet. You get to look forward to adding in different foods or do something. Sometimes if you're a lifestyle client, there'll be like a refeed or a cheat meal in moderation each week. So like you look forward to something different and then you'll get right back on track.
This is the life of an IFBB Pro bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. And I say that because you have a system. And for me, as I listen to you, what's obvious is that food really is medicine. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Correct. I mean, if you want to really see it all, like I will go and I actually bought 40 pounds of fish, 20 pounds of chicken, 10 pounds of steak, and I'll cook it all in one day. Mm-hmm. And then I will put it in freezer bags and then I'll put it in my freezer. So my freezer is my venting machine. So usually how I will prep is I will pull out the food and I will prep for 3 days and I'll put it in my refrigerator. So then I'm good. I don't really have to stress out about, refilling food containers and stuff until that 3rd day is up. But then I also don't have to slave in the kitchen. My rice is in the freezer. My green beans and broccoli are in the freezer. Like everything is in the freezer minus like your oats and your cream of rice. So everything's ready to go at my disposal. So it saves me a lot of time. Yes, 1 day of cooking that might last me a month of not having to cook. So I mean that to me is something that helps out a lot of people.
And do you have a cheat day in there, or do you say I'm
not currently? No.
Yeah, because you're headed toward it's November of this year is the Miss Olympia, correct?
Yeah, but we either have Chicago Pro, which is I think July 22nd, or we have Tampa, which is August 4th.
Mhm.
So I mean, that's where we're tossing up right now.
How do you psych yourself up to deal with it's a grind. You're
Hmm.
grinding. How do you psych yourself up to keep going? What's your and let me explain what I mean. Many moons ago, I had the pleasure of meeting the now late author David Halberstam. He wrote The Reckoning and a number of books. Um, Tall dude, too, like 6'7".
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I asked him, I said, how do you get motivated to write? And he says, well, it's easy. If I don't write, I don't make money.
Hmm.
That was his thinking, right? What's
Hmm.
yours, having said that?
So if anybody followed my last post, over the weekend, I'm human too. I had a really bad mental block. I mean, I was not okay. I was sick and tired of the Tupperware. I was sick and tired of training. My joints were hurting. I was massively exhausted. I wasn't sleeping. So yes, Jeff had to talk me into doing it, but it was like Friday after like the workout, I came home and I'm like, I'm done for the weekend. I'm done. I didn't do anything Friday night, didn't do anything Saturday, and I didn't do anything Sunday. But all it did was kind of like reset me. And
Yeah.
now my joints don't hurt, my body is recovering, and that's enough for me to move on. So in my head, because I'm a very goal oriented type person, that's where the dedication and the drive comes from. So I mean, it's hard if you don't have that belief in yourself and you don't have a plan, it's hard for you to say, oh, get out of bed and, go do your cardio. And if you don't have a reason to do it, other than the fact of like staying healthy and staying fit, so when you're up against a different level and you're in the pro ranks, these other girls, all you constantly keep thinking is they're not sleeping in, or they're not, doing this, or they're not doing that. And you want to always be on your A game,
Mhm.
because right now, like, no one has room for error because there is no points. It's you're either winning or you're losing. And that's it.
Do you have a group of female bodybuilders you talk to about foods and nutrition? What I'm thinking is there a trend that you try to follow? Maybe somebody says try to eat this, or this is the new meal or something like that, or is it very basic?
I mean, it's pretty basic. Like, I mean, I'm a coach and I coach a lot of people. I got a lot of girls pro, guys pro too. I write for Amazon Fit Mags, and my last article, it's not published yet. It was just submitted. Is about, is there a perfect formula for a body transformation? And it pretty much talks about, like, there is no cookie cutter diet. There is nothing that, like, this person, it worked for them and it's going to work for me. You have to really understand, your body. And for me, and as an example, is my legs, I know they haven't really come in like they want to, but nobody listens to me. When I tell them my legs are aching when I'm doing cardio, they're aching. They're aching for a reason. So, and they always have a layer of water on them. So we started to pull back on the cardio and my legs started to tighten up.
Hmm.
So, but it's a coach thinking that I'm trying to get out of cardio. Do you know what I mean? Like, and any coach is going to think that. But when I'm in realistically, I'm trying to speak and communicate and tell them what I know is best. You have to communicate with someone. If you can't go to the bathroom,
Right.
and there's certain foods that just don't work with you, or, you're bloated or you're gassy, or like the body is going to talk to you. But if you don't address that, it's never going to get fixed. So is there a reason to talk to any other females? I could ask them what technically they thought or maybe what worked for them. But again, it's my body dissects things different. My genetics are different. My lifestyle's different. So it's not gonna, I mean, the conversation will be good, but it may not work for me.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm just learning that
Hmm.
at 60.
Yeah.
I had taken, I don't mean to be political about this at all, but it just happened. I took the vaccine, and
Hmm.
I found that after the fourth dose of it, when they didn't have the boosters coming out, I was worried about my mom not getting the proper treatment, right?
Hmm.
Um, it reduced my arthritic pain by about 70, well, I would say 50%. And I thought, what
Yeah.
the heck? So 8 treatments later, and I can walk. Whereas I was,
Hmm.
I'm here trying to help my mom, as I told you off screen. And it was getting to a point where my mom was having to run errands for me. And I thought, that's
Yeah.
not the way it works, right? So I understand it, but I couldn't explain to anybody else because everyone has a different reaction. I'm
Hmm.
just understanding what you mean at this age
Yep.
in my life.
Yep.
This is what we were talking about when people look at you. These legs are incredible, but this is her website, by the way, which is well done. I don't know who designed it, but bravo.
Me.
Hey,
I,
hey,
I did
this is
it.
great. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
This, this,
Thanks.
you got a second line of work here as a
I
leg.
am very aggressive on how I do things.
That's the way. That's the way to be. But this is what you refer to. I think the lay people here think there's nothing wrong with you, but you see
Hmm.
something different on the way to being Ms. O, right?
Correct. I mean, I know what I'm capable of. And when the protocol gets messed up during peak week, it gets very frustrating.
Yeah.
So, moral of the story is it's bringing the gym look to the stage and it's done. It's over. So, if my coach and we've communicated through the last one, he understands he can't take my food, he can't take my water, and he can't take my salt away. We're going to bring a pretty tough package, because I know what I look like, a week out, 3 days out, I know what I look like. And then it all just went to crap, just by doing one simple thing. And it destroys you. So, I mean, but we know what to do now. So, I mean, but that has always been my fault. I mean, if you look at photos from back in previous competitions, my legs were very skinny, but genetically wise, I just don't have big legs. I'm a little bit taller. I'm not shorter. So I mean, over the years, yes, I have grown them, and I had to actually. I don't want to say I reduced my upper body much, but I had to bring it down a little bit so I could kind of bring it in more balanced and symmetrical. So then you start to like look at yourself as a whole and say, okay, that's too big. You don't need to train that. That you need to do this, and don't go through that normal protocol that says no, I have to have a chest day, a tri day, or whatever. Maybe you don't. Like maybe you excel too well in a certain body part and you need to back off in order to bring that perfect package to stage. So for me, the legs are finally there. They just need more polished and they need more conditioned.
Is your bodybuilding routine more? Do you incorporate parts of your routine that are more, say, powerlifting to achieve a certain look or not? How does that work in terms of determining what the best way is?
So, I mean, I wish I could do a lot more with the powerlifting type part, but I have a bad back. I was in a car accident when I was 13. So it is bone on bone, L5 through S1. It is like a back of a 70-year-old. And people don't know how I'm even doing what I'm doing right now. A
How
lot of the
dare you?
doctors,
Yeah.
it's being smart. I mean, it's picking the right exercises, it's choosing the correct weight, and just being very precautious of like how you do it. Now, I made sure to build my rectors up, which serve as a cushion to the spine. So now I have a massive, like kind of like if you want to call it like a core strength, type thing to keep my spine in line. So it'll take, more of the heat. It serves as a super cushion. But if I wouldn't have done that and I wouldn't have trained that well, I wouldn't 17 years in. You know what I mean? This car accident happened before I even started bodybuilding. My
So,
hips were crooked. Like it was bad. It was a rough time, but we are where we are today because we're being smart. We address the injuries and we work around them.
and you're literally using bodybuilding to sculpt your muscles in a way to support your back.
Correct. Yep.
That is impressive. I would that I'm learning something just with this
Yep.
exchange.
Yeah. Most don't. I mean, I've talked about it a little bit, but I don't talk about it a lot because some people go, "Oh, you're going to use it as an excuse." But I mean, I do still straight leg. I just recently started incorporating those in the last few years, my career. I never deadlifted. I do not bench, and I don't squat. Like if I squat, it's out of a Smith machine only because I have rails. I'm not taking the risk of me going down and having any type of jolt and can't come back up, and then I'm screwed. So
Right.
some people say, "Oh, the Smith machine don't count." I do because it's weight on my back and it's still the same form and I'm safe. So that's kind of how I incorporated that squat movement. But other than like the deadlifts and the benching, I don't do.
And so, and now you've got this into a routine where it is to really frame the conversation
Hmm.
for you, including
Hmm.
the
Correct.
food and everything else.
Yep.
So now that you're at this place where you are a celebrity, I want to ask you, where do you think women's bodybuilding is in pop culture and where you think it can be?
I mean, it's out there now. It's in your face now. You see a lot more about it. I've gotten a lot, like we talked about off camera, a lot more movie role options. That I've been doing a lot of interviews with. I have a lady that might be flying in from the UK to do a day in a life with me as well. We're still filming Beyond Bodybuilding. It's been picked up by Sony Productions, and that's been in work since 2018. That's teaching about bodybuilding and femininity, and to me that means everything because that's how our future generations are going to grow.
Yeah.
If these girls see something on stage that they're like, I don't want to look like that,
Yeah.
then it's over, you know? And right now it's like, it's the bodybuilding to me, I feel like we're a little wavy at the time. Like we came back full force. We brought some beauty back. Judging's a little crazy on in some shows, but then we lost sponsorships. We lost a lot of the pro shows. They got dumped from us. So
Why?
we're very limited. I don't even have an answer for it.
Hmm.
So
Is
it's
this,
now we don't have a lot of places to qualify. So now you're shoving, and this is another article I wrote in Amazon Fit Mags. So if you're a brand new pro and you're trying to make it to the Olympia, you're kind of screwed. You know, unless you have that A sharp, you know, tight frame and a beautiful physique, because now you have, let's just say there's 20 people at the O and you only have 7 going back. You have the rest of those that are coming down to only 5 qualifying shows in the United States to qualify again to go. So you're automatically going against an Olympian right out of the gate. So the odds are just not in your favor for you to ever pick up on a dream to step foot on that Olympia stage, because
and
you have to go through all these heavy hitters before you even get the chance to maybe even make a top 5 in a pro show.
and I noticed that the Ms. O winner only gets $50,000, whereas I
Yes.
think minimum it should be 100 grand.
Well, look at the men. I mean, there's been $480,000 pumped out for them.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just not it doesn't weigh out. I mean, yeah, we have other divisions and they finally, and Jake, yes, he's an amazing man and he finally did bring all the numbers up, because the women's bodybuilding, the physique, all the men's divisions were only making $20,000. He brought everybody up to at least 50. Now the men bodybuilders, of course, they're up in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, which I don't feel is fair.
No, I don't see. Here's why I think it's illogical is because it as I said to my friend off camera, 1946 woman photograph of her bending a train rail. When I was 6 years old, I saw that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's got me, as I said to you, as a fan. But there are a lot of men like me who prize that, but only now is it coming to a point where, like, Wonder Woman, played by Gal Gadot, was seen in a photograph promoting the film lifting a very hard, heavy object,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas folks like, well, I'm not going to name the producers. That's not the point. There's been an effort to take away the strength of women who are in bodybuilding or in any way where they would show strength and muscle, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now we're finally getting over that. But when I
Mm-hmm.
look at Instagram, I look at women bodybuilders, the numbers of followers are far in excess of men, which
Mm-hmm.
logically should equal a sponsorship, a
Yeah.
lucrative one, or
Yeah.
several. That's what gets me, Theresa. That's
Mm-hmm.
what bothers me. It's like, what can we do as fans to help change that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's a very touchy subject, because it's all these companies now, like they don't sponsor anybody because they have 10 million ambassadors throwing out coupon codes advertising their products. And
hmm,
if you go back to
hmm,
like the Arnold, okay, I stood in line for hours to meet these pros that were sitting at these booths. You don't really see that much anymore, because you see them so much on social media. Some just don't, it's just not intriguing like that. Like I've watched it. It's yes, it's busy, but it's not like it used to be, you know, with the like free products and then the inline for the autographs and the pictures, a more personable time. It's just a lot different. It's so much different than what it was when we were, you know, growing up, you know, and I wish it would be more, but it's not.
So you're saying that social media has really negatively impacted the ability for any one particular person to build lucrative celebrity? Is that it?
No, I mean, I think like I built my platform that way, you know
Sure.
what I mean? And I started doing my YouTubes back in the day, just being, it was actually a joke. Like I was just not a joke that way, but it was me just playing around on the internet and said, no, I'm just going to start a YouTube. And this was like back in like 2000, probably 6, 7, 8 ish, you know, I was just loading little things. But I think 2 years ago I got the silver plaque from YouTube. You know, like, and it wasn't even intentional. Like, it was just because of the subscribers that you ended up with having.
Right.
So these are all formats and platforms for you to build your own brand. you
Yeah.
know, and that's what I like, because now I'm in control. I can do what I want. I don't have anybody paying me anything to say, oh, you can only post this or this or this or this. Yes, I am tied into a lot of sponsors that I do have to post a lot of, with them too, because they are sponsoring me. They are giving me free tanning. I got hair and makeup, you know, I got suits. I have my meals from MegaFit Meals, you know, and supplement companies from Gaspari. I mean, I have a ton of different sponsors. So that is your way of networking. So that if you do it right, you can build a massive blast, you know, platform that way. You know, people will follow you, but I just don't think it's that same personable, because it's like almost like, you know, it's like you see them every day
Hmm.
because you're scrolling and you're like, oh, there they are, there they are. And then when you see them in person, it's not that, oh my God, did you see like who's here? You know, and that's the same way back in the day when they gave out very little pro cards. You walked into a gym and you saw someone with an IFBB Pro belt on, you literally like hit the floor and you're like, who is that? And now there's a dime a dozen. You walk in a gym, everybody's a pro. So it's like, it's just taking it from the old school to the new now. It's just, it's a complete different. It's so different.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm wondering too also if it's a matter of who's running the particular contest, because all these are events.
Mm-hmm.
Some are held at hotels, and but I'm wondering if it is that they're not promoting the event themselves in a way to make it more lucrative for a sponsor. Because to me, right now, this should be on television. Commercials
Mm-hmm.
and talk shows should have you on. There was a time when that was the case, but it was made more from a perspective that I found annoying, which is almost making fun of
Oh
those who,
yeah.
right now,
Mm-hmm.
to me, that should be out of the way. It should be about nutrition, fitness, being the
Mm-hmm.
best you can be, showing an optimal example of what you can be, right?
Yep.
But there's something where, is it fair to say, I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but are the promoters not working with the participants to say, hey, look, here's something, put this out there for us. You're an influencer, bring the numbers to us, which would help them help you get more money.
I mean, they so that they do send out stuff, you know, to have, and they tell us, you know, go ahead and make sure you promote. We need them to buy the pay-per-views and things like that. Now, there's some pro shows where you barely get a goodie bag anymore, you know, and it's like it's not. It's I don't know. I mean, I've been a pro since 2016, so it's like I've watched it kind of like decline. There used to be like a meet and greet at all the check-ins as well. Like we
Mm-hmm.
would have to go in and have our meeting, and then fans were allowed to come in and come talk to us at our tables. Like that's no longer. So it's almost like a revolving door. You know, it's like, okay, well, you paid for your Crow card or you paid for your NPC card. Let's get them in, let's get them out. You know, and that's what I see sometimes with a lot of promoters. And it's not like it's the care and everything to the people. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of good promoters out there that do put a lot of emphasis into their stuff. They bring in guest posers. It's not a quick, you know, in and out, you know, turnaround. But I mean, some market, some don't. You know, so it's I feel like some don't do enough. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I feel like there could be a lot more visual, like videos and things like that, that they're constantly using, even if it's old content from the previous years. You could be putting it out there to advertise, you know,
Right.
how the show looks. Yeah.
You just made me think about something. I received a pitch to buy into a franchise fast food. I don't have that kind of money right now, but
Yeah.
I thought I have to borrow it. That's beside the point. But I was thinking, how would I do it? And I thought, well, sports, I'd invite athletes and everything. And then I started thinking about, because I cover sports business as well, and we do here at Zenny 62 Media, but I started thinking about sports franchises. Are any of these shows part of a franchise where they could have a kit and they give you this kit of how to promote the show, how to do
Yeah.
it, and then you can buy into it. And
Yep.
then the show could be anywhere. It could be Atlanta, Oakland, Outer Mongolia, right? Is anybody doing that?
Yeah. I mean, that I don't know. I mean, I got a little taste of like what it does really take to promote a show. I mean, you got to remember you're paying royalties for
Yeah.
the NPC. If you're offering a pro AM, you are paying per class. And I was told at one point it was 5 grand. So if you want bodybuilding, it's 5 grand. You want classic, it's 5 grand. You want bikini, it's 5 grand. And then you have to come up with the prize money for those pros. And then you also have to come up with the trophies for the pros and the amateurs. Then are you going to run pay-per-view? Because who's going to view that? Like, who's going to film it? Then if you have a videographer, do you not? Then you have
Hmm.
your crew, and then you also have to pay for the stage and the venue. So I'm even confused for a promoter's standpoint, where is the money coming from? Like,
Right.
how do they even afford to even put on a show?
Because see, what I'm thinking, and this is completely out of the box. If I have that kind of system where I know what these costs are, and then
Mm-hmm.
charging revenue for the tickets, I'm
Yeah.
thinking I'm going to make this into a commodity. I'm going to set up a company. I'm going to set up as an investment vehicle to invest in these shows, but then I have to do these shows because I'm going to get the money to do them, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
set the whole thing on a stock exchange,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and we go from there. And at first I thought something like that was wild, but now as I listen to you, I think that's the model because
Mm-hmm.
I think that there are people who would put money, and I'm going to just say this straight out. I think people who would put money as investors
Mm-hmm.
into a women's show company that does this, and they look at the return on investment because now everything that they see suddenly it has a commodifying value, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I'm just putting that out there. I have,
Yeah.
it's an idea. Somebody take it out there and do it before I figure out how to continue to
Yep.
make it work.
Yeah.
Make her the CEO, okay?
Yep.
That's what I mean. It's like because to me, I said this way back in 2005 on I don't know if you know Gene Huang. He used to do the photographs.
Oh yeah, yeah. Gene X. Like we call him Gene X. Yeah.
Yeah, lives in San Francisco, great dude. And
Mm-hmm.
I said women's bodybuilding was a $5 billion industry,
Mm-hmm.
and I got laughed at. Now I think it's 10
Mm-hmm.
billion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of, but it's a matter of finding that way.
Mm-hmm.
And
It almost like where you're going with it, like it needs to be blueprinted.
yes,
It needs to have a blueprint, basically. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about because
Mm-hmm.
it's here. It's absolutely here. And then they could establish their own movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have your own movies made under your umbrella,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and partner with producers. I'm just thinking all this out
Yeah.
loud. Uh, uh,
It'd be almost like an a la carte of connections and
mhm.
networking of like what you're capable of doing and what is at right at your hands,
Yeah,
with like you said, different types of packages.
and I'm thinking like
Yeah.
Burger King because Burger
Mm-hmm.
King is a franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Mm-hmm.
you have to do. You buy into it. You get the Whopper and everything else. Why not that with a
Just in body. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, with the blessings of the IFPP, which is going to want to have some money,
Yeah.
I think, but
Yep.
only a percentage because
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing to go beyond that. It's something out there. Like I'm giving it to you and Jeff. Out,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's something because it's like it's.
Well, it's like if you go like into a gym and you go like it's no different than like Anytime Fitness. Okay, so you go into a franchise of Anytime Fitness, you know what you're going to walk into.
Yes.
You know the colors, you know what type of atmosphere you're going to get into. Technically they try to hire like the within, the same type of people that are like-minded and positive and things like that. So it'd be no different than that. You
Yeah.
have one particular format there. You're not going to expect anything different or off the wall. Yeah, you might have different guests, coming in and out, but the platform is laid out, accordingly. And I was even at some of these small shows. I even told a couple of them, like, why is nobody playing music? Why people are going and sitting down? Like, let's hype people up to be here. Like,
Yeah.
don't let it just be dead silent. So it's putting your little tweaks onto things to get people moving and excited to be at these shows.
Yeah. And then you could take the show and make that a reality TV show within it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
even make the people who visit part of the show, and
Mm-hmm.
that's on TV.
Yeah.
And it could. So there you are. You have
Mm-hmm.
this ball of wax that has appropriately commodified women's bodybuilding, and I
Yeah.
think it should be women's bodybuilding only.
Mm-hmm.
Men can do their thing, but
Yeah.
uh, that's I think we just figured it out.
Yep. We'll work on that.
You have
We'll
okay.
cross the T's and dot the I's.
Yeah, we need to. On that note, do you have women bodybuilders that you follow? Who are you fans of, or
So like, I mean, I'm always, following the normal people that, are up in the ranks. I'm really close with Margie. I talk to Hello occasionally. Same thing with Andrea or whatever, but I had the question like asked a lot, like who do I look up to? I look up to myself because
yeah.
without me, like I'm not going to be able to produce and be that person that I want to be. Like it's like we're our own hero, so we can always look up to someone, but we need to bring the best version of ourselves, and how we can bring that. But I mean, I do commerce. I do talk with, many, many, many of the other girls, not like on a super big daily basis, but I mean, I look up to them and I admire them because everybody's got a unique physique, so we don't all come with the same package. Anatomy wise, we all have the same thing, but it pops different on each person, which I think is, so intriguing because somebody has, this type of shape versus that type of shape, but we're all standing on stage as a female bodybuilder.
Now, what's the next show for you coming up? You got Chicago, you said?
Chicago or Tampa. Those two were the ones that we were deciding on, or we were just going to say, we're going to like just erase my blueprint for the time being, take this as an off season, and then come back probably next year, to compete.
And but then you've got Miss O.
I can't do Miss O because you have to win. Now, that's another topic.
Okay.
The top 5 in men's bodybuilding get to come back. But any other division underneath them, whether it's classic, men's physique, bikini, bodybuilding, only the top 3 come back. So anybody that plays 4th, 5th, and under
Yeah.
all have to requalify again. So they took, again, another 2 placings away that were automatically allowed to come back.
That's highway robbery. What is requalifying? How does that work?
So you have to now, remember, they took the points away. So we can't earn points to get up to the Olympia. So now it's to the point, like what I was saying, like where we were kind of getting mad about it, is they're taking away shows from us.
Yeah.
They took away the points from us. And now we only have 5 shows to qualify because we have to win in order to make it to the Olympia. And then that's when the rush of the rest of the Olympia qualifier people that were there prior are all battling in these 5 shows, and only 5 of us are going to make it.
Oh, for you, you said that they take away. For the viewers who are not familiar, tell them who they are, who's taking this away.
Well, the federation,
Okay.
the IFBB, the NPC, it's like, it's their rules, so I mean, we just have to abide by them, and they're new, and I had a podcast with somebody else, or discussion actually off camera, and we said the same thing about, if you're going to strip us from not allowing us to have points any longer, and you're going to take away 2 spots in the top 5, you need to make it extremely hard to become pro.
Yes.
Because it should be the overalls only get to go pro, because the IFBB Pro cards are getting fed out like candy, and there's so many of them, and then the IFBB is becoming so saturated. But why is it easy to go pro, but now you're stuck and you'll never make it to Olympia? So it's just, it doesn't add up to me.
Yeah, you're right, and they are coming out with like, oh my lord, every time you turn around, it's this woman I got this, that one, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can petition the federation to make change?
I don't know. They are very, very powerful. So it kind of like what they say goes. I mean, it's their rules, and they are a nonprofit organization. So I mean, you can't. I mean, you pay to play, and they can't. I mean, they did it smart. I mean, you either want to compete or you don't. So I mean, it's like you either follow the rules or don't come to the stage.
Wow, that is not right.
Mm-hmm.
I am. Well, see, to me, there's nobody no more powerful than Congress and the presidency, but that's how I.
In this world, that's a different ballgame.
It gives you a hint of where I'm going.
Yes.
Because to me, it's a matter of getting these contests on track to continue the structure of female empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, am I wrong?
We want this to keep growing. We want the future generations to come up. We want the kids to be intrigued, that we want them to try to see what the stage tastes like. We want this to be fun for them. And then it's like at the same time, but if I learn as a young competitor that I could possibly get my pro card, but then here are the rules when you're a pro, like, do you even start? I think it's the question. Like, is it even worth you to even try to compete now? Because if you're really trying to take the distance, it kind of stops halfway,
Right.
for a lot of people. So it's like in the back of their heads, it's like, is it even worth it to do it? Because if you look at social media now, half of the people that have a million followers never even touch foot on stage.
Nope.
They look phenomenal. They're in such great shape and they never competed to get where they are. So, I
Yeah.
mean, do you need the stage to become somebody? Absolutely not. This is just something, it's a hobby we choose to do. It's a passion we want to express. It's a journey we want to share. But I wish that it was the way it was when I first viewed it. I want the people to see it the way that I used to, but it's extinct at that point.
Is there a silent conversation about how to change this? Because here's my thought. My thought was go to my congressperson, get them to write a resolution, and then gain attention that way. Which, if you pick the right congressperson, it works.
Yeah.
Has
I mean,
any?
I think that, like, I mean, I do I talk to a lot of the people. I am local in Pittsburgh, and I know they do have meetings, every year. I believe every November, and it's just a discussion topic that I think that I could, bring up. Like, this is just me talking my opinion of what I'm seeing happening. Can you bring this in and talk about it? What can we resolve from it? Can anything be resolved from it, or do we want to keep going the way we're headed?
Mhm.
Because I want nothing more than to help this industry grow, and even when I'm retired with it, I still want to be heavily involved in it because this has been my life. This has been my life for a very long time. It has saved my life. It has
Yes.
saved many other people's lives. So I have nothing bad to say about the sport at all. I mean, it just taught me a lot about myself. It made me who I am today. So I want people to do this, And I mean, our gym at night, we had a couple of regular members come in and they walked in the door and it was like 9 p.m. and they were like, and walked right back out. And the only reason they did this is because that gym was filled with freaking kids.
Mm.
And from my standpoint, they were like, oh, I feel like I'm in a frat party and I'm just watching all these kids and I'm the dad, like ruining the party. They said the kids are all very respectful. And
Mhm.
my theme as a business owner, I am rewarded with that. I said, because these kids aren't gaming, they're off the streets, they're taking care of themselves, and they're teaching themselves discipline and respect. So,
Yep.
I mean, for us to see that at 9 o'clock at night, when there's a million other things these kids could be doing, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
So why these kids are doing this, we need to get their attention, and get them more involved in wanting to compete and wanting them to see, what it's like. Because if they're that dedicated now, it's going to get more dedicated as they grow older into the sport.
And the city, you're in Butler, they should
hmm
give you a grant
Yeah.
for that because that's
Yeah.
a civic
Yep.
service you're doing for the
hmm
community.
Yep.
That the city can pay for out of, well, block grant funds, or there are a number of ways they can do that. That's something you and Jeff ought to be compensated for, and congratulations
hmm
for doing
Yeah.
that. That is enormous.
Yeah, we're trying. I mean, we're still trying to expand, but that's been another thing. It had to stop because I can't compete and try to order equipment and floors and remodel and find places, and I can't. I just can't do it. So we're still in the works. There's projects being done. I personally want to own. I don't want to lease anymore. So the options we have right now are a lease, and I would rather find the land when the time is right and build and own something, but we will expand. It's just a matter of like time. It sucks that it's been like 2 years of us talking about it. We want it done. We have equipment sitting in my garage. Like we've been getting things ready to do this. We have a backer. We have a million people behind us. We have an army of people following us, and it will be done. It's just at the right time and when we can own it, and that way we can bring more people in and get more people involved, especially the kids, because that's the next generation coming up.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming up toward the end. I don't want to tax my friends' time anymore lest they get choked. Just kidding. But it was, but you look like a Marvel superhero. Give me one more shot. I'm gonna give you a solo, folks.
Hey.
Keep that one more because I was on solo.
Okay.
There's solo layout. There you are, folks. Okay, Marvel, give this lady a role in the next Avengers movie. She deserves it. In fact, I don't know if you remember that, but Wonder Woman. had CrossFitters, real
Mm-hmm.
life CrossFitters, playing in it. So
Yeah.
there have been ways that directors and producers have found places, for women bodybuilders. And
Yes.
this young lady says, "You're the best, Theresa." She's got a great commenter out there.
Thank you.
Got it. So, folks, follow her. Here's her wonderful website, at hername.com. And there it is, right? And
Yep. Everything's on there.
I want to have you back and give me some work to do on top of
Yeah.
that. And, folks, as we close at 6 o'clock, we're going to have Lee Steinberg. You know Patrick Mahomes is, right, Theresa?
I think so. Yeah.
My friend since 1998 is his agent. So he's coming on yet again. He was going to talk about the relocation of the Oakland Athletics to Las Vegas.
Nice. Nice.
What do you think about that, by the way, being a sports person?
What?
The relocation of the A's to Las Vegas.
I didn't know they were doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're doing it. They basically, the Athletics has spent 25 years trying to find a new stadium home, and they got tired of waiting on my slow city I worked for, and almost brought the Super Bowl to get its act. So they said, "We're off to Vegas." And
yeah, nice.
Well, that's what's
nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. And so, in fact, I gotta get you to meet Lee. That would be an interesting pair.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We can easily do that.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about anything. Stick around in the background, Theresa, please.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. Help me get to 100 grand subscribers like she's at. never said that, right? Hey, stuck at almost 49 plus. Subscribe to Zenny62. Please bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com and the newly recreated Zenny62.com. That ends this broadcast. Thank you, by the way. How was that?